Speaker, he revealed then this culture of people hiring goons in order to disrupt peaceful protests or even to paint the peaceful protests as anything other than peaceful protests. I was very alarmed, Honorable Speaker, to see the scenes in Kapsabet. I saw the same scenes in Kakamega, and I have seen the same scenes here in Nairobi. Honorable Speaker, it is very worrying. I do not understand why you need to interfere with anybody's peaceful protest. There are 7 days in a week. If Sifuna wants to protest on Monday, you can very well pick Tuesday to show support or something against what I stand for. Honorable Speaker, what is even more worrying is that this happens in the full glare of the police and the security forces in this country. It is very disturbing, Honorable Speaker, that if the Constitution requires that anybody proceeding in a street, in a public space, should be unarmed, how can police just look at a group of people armed, openly armed, with rungus, with clubs, with other things, walking around in order to scare other people from exercising their rights under Article 37. Honorable Speaker, we must condemn this, and I am happy that even Senator Cherargei has gotten to a place where he can agree with the SG of ODM that this is not right and it needs to stop. Honorable Speaker, that's what I'm saying. I am very happy. So I want to support him and say that nobody should fetter on any other person's right to peacefully protest. It doesn't matter what your cause is. I don't have to agree with your cause. If I don't agree with your cause, let me sit at home and wait for the causes that I agree with to take me to the streets. But it is very unfair. And Honorable Speaker, although I have heard people sing praises about the cabinet secretaries that have been appointed, I was a bit disappointed with the cabinet secretaries that were reappointed, especially in the security sector. Because I personally don't believe that we are going to see any change in philosophy. Honorable Speaker, we need to see police reforms. We need to be able to secure these rights under the Constitution. If the same brains are the ones that were present when we were seeing goons in Kapsabet and in Kakamega, what expectation do we have really that there's something that is going to change? So, Honorable Speaker, I want to say this, and I want to say this as a senator of Nairobi. I will never judge anyone going to the streets for any cause, because I have been there myself. We have pushed for many things that are being pushed for even by the Gen Zs right now. And it is within their right. So for the police to allow people to interfere with them, Honorable Speaker, for me here in Nairobi, people just see me these days. They don't know how much I've suffered. Honorable Speaker, there was a phenomenon here in Nairobi called Nairobi Business Community. Those people, Honorable Speaker, used to scare us so that we cannot go to the streets. And I don't see them anymore. I don't know if their business is closed. I don't see them anymore. They used to be deployed specifically for Maandamano that is championed by ODM and the opposition. Honorable Speaker, we even saw sometimes you would hire a ground like Uhuru Park, and then a conflict arises out of nowhere. You hear there was supposed to be a crusade here by some obscure bishop, just so that you do not have that meeting at that particular point. So, as a staunch defender of the rights under Article 37, I want to fully associate myself with the statement that has been sought, and we need to bring those security chiefs here, especially the CS, the reinvented CS for security, internal security. I want to hear him tell us what he's going to do about this specter of people mobilizing goons in order to dissuade other people from participating in peaceful protests. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, on the statement that has been sought by Senator Christo Lasige, I do not know what Kenyans expected, because the output is as good as the input. The truth of the matter is that we are a country on a downward trajectory when it comes to everything to do with sports in this country, because we have not invested in sports, Honorable Speaker. When Senator Veronica Maina talks about the stadia that has been built in Rwanda, do you know, Honorable Speaker, that the last meaningful national stadium or international stadium that was built in this country were built by President Moi? They were built by President Moi. Successive regimes since Moi built as Nyayo Stadium and built as the stadium in Kasarani. We have never done a structure to that level. Honorable Speaker, just a few months ago, I was here on this floor complaining that we football fans missed a critical fixture between Harambee Stars and the African champions Cote d'Ivoire because it had to be played in Malawi. It was very embarrassing, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this afternoon before I came to the House, I was watching the final of the national secondary schools soccer game between Highway Secondary and my alma mater, Musingu High School. Of course, I was very conflicted because I am the senator of Nairobi, but I also went to Musingu High School. And I want to congratulate Highway for their victory. I will be going to the school to see them later, Honorable Speaker. But the thing that I noticed from this year's games and even last year's games that were in Kakamega is that there is a yearning for sports in this country, and there is excellence in the grassroots. Buhungu Stadium last year hosted these games, and it was packed to the brim. The same as Gusii Stadium during this year's games. What is it that happens between talent at the grassroots and them being able to make it all the way to the national stage and even international stage? You had the story of the runner from Makueni, Honorable Speaker. We have frustrated our own people, and I cannot begrudge anybody who will want to go and look for opportunity elsewhere, for as long as you are able to express your talent. Honorable Speaker, to this effect, I want to beg members of this House, I have sponsored a motion, a bill, to amend the Sports Act, because the Sports Act, Honorable Speaker, initially was supposed to bring some sort of cure to some of the problems we have identified. We were supposed to build academies in all the constituencies to support sporting activities at that level. It has never been done, because immediately those who were in power then saw how much money was actually being realized in the sports fund out of sports betting, Honorable Speaker. They decided to introduce things that have nothing to do with sports. On application of the fund, they introduced this thing of using money for universal health care. Honorable Speaker, that is where the problem is. I have sponsored an amendment. It was read for the first time here yesterday, Honorable Speaker, to the Sports Act, that each county must set aside at least 1% of the money this Senate gives them to support registered sporting associations. And this thing was triggered, this idea was triggered by an experience I've had, and I'm sure every member in this House has had. Every time the Nairobi Boxing Association has a tournament in Kirinyaga, in Vihiga, they come to my office asking me to support with mundane things such as just transport to the venue. They have no money to hire training halls. They have no money to pay referees. So we want at least 1% of the money that this Senate sends to be set aside to support these sporting associations, because we believe that at that particular level, Honorable Speaker, we should be able to support them so that they come up. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, I think if we don't deal with the question of corruption and favoritism in even selection of the national teams, I think we are doing this country a disservice. You go and watch these games at the grassroots, you watch grassroots football, you watch the high school games, you can see a player, a midfielder who can receive a pass, put his head up, look for somewhere to pass the ball, and that person just disappears within the system. You go to Nyayo Stadium to watch Harambee Stars and you're wondering, a guy cannot even make one pass, Honorable Speaker, and is playing for Harambee Stars. We used to have very low standards when we used to go to Nyayo Stadium. We say, we don't want to score. Can we just see 3 good passes and go home happy? Honorable Speaker, the bar has been set so low. So we need to see what is it that happens when these national coaches are selecting people. There is allegations of favoritism. And the most frustrating thing is you cannot even touch the management of football in this country. Because immediately we say we want to disband FKF and have fresh elections. They run to their daddy in Switzerland. Honorable Speaker, you get a call from Switzerland telling you, if you interfere with the current management, we are going to ban Kenya for X number of years.